Hey, what up YouTube? Salt Princess here, and I'm going to show you a little something that I've been working on. We're currently existing in Path of Exile's 3.1, 3.10 Delirium League. It is currently week 9, something like day 65, and I am currently playing a level 94 Pathfinder that is essentially a heraldry and purposeful harbinger stacking character. So this character is currently utilizing 2 7 passive voices and 1 5 passive voices, because even though I've ran about 100 simulacrum, I'm not very lucky. So that being said, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 purposeful harbinger, and 5 purposeful harbinger and heraldry stacking jewels. And then we have a purposeful harbinger pure guile, and then purposeful harbinger endbringer, purposeful endbringer, and purposeful endbringer. This is for damage. These can be swapped out for any kind of jewel, realistically speaking. I could honestly probably do like purposeful and anything that reduces mana reservations, or honestly don't even necessarily need purposefuls. Another thing that I could do is anything that would give me like increased flask effects or increase movement speed. So if you look at the tree, wow, you know what? I did a recording of this earlier and I changed something on the tree and I don't like it anymore. So let me just point out that Arcane Vision is like a really cool thing to use when you're a low life build. Even though it doesn't actually increase your damage or your tankiness at all, Arcane Vision gives you an enormous amount of quality of life by converting your light radius from being something that is based on your life total to something that is based on your total energy shield instead. And so this makes visibility really nice. So essentially, we're a purposeful harbinger stacking Pathfinder. But there's a couple caveats to this particular character. And so I want to take a brief moment to pause and actually go Alt-Tab and show you something kind of exciting. So we're going to go to the Path of Exile website. Check it out. So here we are, Path of Exile's official website. Let's pretend that we're on the home page, okay? So if you're on the home page of the Path of Exile website, you can actually scroll down to the very bottom and you'll see a list of directories based on, I guess, the archetype of those pages, right? So you got the home page, you got the game, you got the forum, and then you have events. And at the bottom of events, you can click on the Labyrinth ladder. Once you've clicked on the Labyrinth ladder, you can use the drop downs to select what console you're playing on, what league you're playing in, and what labyrinth you're looking at. And so essentially what you're looking at here is a tier list of time trials results for players that are running really fast Uber Labyrinth times. And so this is actually me in 4th place. I'm the Salt Princess. Hey, what's up? And we did really good today. Yo, what up? And so we're basically playing a purposeful harbinger stacking Pathfinder, and we really haven't changed very much of our gear, right? So we're running really, really fast Uber Labyrinth time trials through a handful of very, very slight alterations to a purposeful harbinger stacking Guardian, which 48% of the player base is running, and that's the purpose for this particular video. Most players are running this build. We're in week 9. A lot of streamers are talking about burnout. Maybe you're feeling a little bored. You probably have most of this gear sitting around, so let's talk about a thing that you can do to alter your build to tackle a different genre of gameplay that you may have not considered prior to seeing this video. So we have an Alpha's Howl Center Tricorn. The reason that this whole project started for me is I was trying to make a little bit of currency by enchanting Alpha's Howls. So I came to the Uber Labyrinth with 3 almost perfectly ruled Alpha's Howls, and on my very first run, I got a Smoke Mine grants an additional 30% increased movement speed enchant It's actually a really rare enchant. And although on this particular base, it's not worth very much currency, it does actually allow us to gain a little bit of extra movement speed through Smoke Mine. And so when you couple this with Phase Run, it's really nice. And so when you stack your Phase Run and your flasks on top of your increased Smoke Mine, you get a pretty substantial increase to your movement speed. So let's go over and check out our defenses. We're currently at base at 119 movement speed. We do Smoke Mine, Phase Run, and all of our flasks, and that number goes up to 364%. That being said, it's actually kind of slow. It's not actually that great. Yeah, thumbs down. It's okay. It's not great. So let's talk about a couple changes from the Purposeful Harbinger stacking Guardian to the Purposeful Harbinger stacking Lab running Pathfinder. So we have the Smoke Mine enchant. We have a self-crafted amulet here that essentially the only thing on this amulet that really means anything is the discipline has 29% reduced mana reservation. This actually allows us to pick up an entire additional aura. In this case, we're including Grace as our 17th aura. So we have all 5 heralds. We have Zealotry, Hatred, Wrath, Vitality, Grace. And I think we also have Clarity and Discipline. It's pretty nice. And so what does that allow for? We also have 7 League Steps instead of the Doriani's Delusions with a Purity of whatever on them. In this case, we're running Purity of Ice as one of our jewels. Not a big deal. We're also running a String of Servitude, which gives us a maximum roll to increase movement speed during Flask effect. This gives us 36% during any flask use, which is really nice, especially when you're running a Alchemist Quicksilver Flask of Adrenaline as a Pathfinder. Pretty cool. Otherwise, the only major differences to this build are our rings, which are essentially just a Herald of Thunder ring and a Herald of Ice ring. These are also obviously rolled on unset rings. This allows us to put our Clarity and our Vitality in our rings, which frees up a couple of sockets in our Scepter, which is essentially just our movement skills. We have Smoke Mine, Increased Duration, and Phase Run. This could be enhanced just a little bit more with an Enhanced support, and there's a blue gem that gives you, I think it's Efficacy. Efficacy would also increase the duration of our skills, which is basically our primary concern with running this. So now I'm just going to reset this zone really quickly, and we're going to show you how fast we can do a Labyrinth. And I've actually been having a lot of fun with this. Yesterday, I got a sub 5-minute time on what was actually a really challenging layout in the Labyrinth. And that felt really good. I actually made 12th overall in the world for yesterday, and I wasn't even actually running an optimized build for this content. So it felt pretty damn cool to give everybody a run for their money when I'm kind of just memeing around. So yeah, get fucked, losers. I'm coming for your ass. And I honestly, my whole goal for this build is I hope that a lot of other people decide to you know, gun for it, to like really kind of go for it. So one of the things that's really cool about this build that's quite a bit better than the other lab running builds is it's so good for dealing with Azaro. Like, we do so much damage, we're so tanky. The only thing we really need to watch out for are the slams. Those actually can kill us, but because of all the increased aura effects and all of our survivability that's based on our auras, Azaro almost never actually even gets to hit us. That's pretty nice, considering that we're still running a Shavron's Wrapping. We don't even actually have an evasion-based armor. So I will say, in all honesty, I have actually cleared this lab a couple of times already today, and even though I'm doing a pretty bad job with this particular one, I actually do technically know exactly where I'm going, approximately where I'm going. So I'm focused a little tiny bit more on making a YouTube video than I am on getting my very, very best time, but the goal here is to show you, you know, especially considering that if you're considering doing any of the endgame challenges, there is the endgame grind to cleanse the dark shrines in the Eternal Labyrinth, and as I said before, 48% of the player base is actually already playing this build. They're just playing it as a Guardian as opposed to a Pathfinder. So if you're getting a little tiny bit bored with what you're doing, it would not necessarily be the worst idea to consider just simply rolling a Pathfinder and taking exactly the same gear that you're using on your Guardian, switching it over to the Pathfinder character, and then tackling one of your endgame grinds. I know that not everybody kind of goes for that. Ooh, this is a really bad layout. Usually there's not levers. I could die here. But being that this actually is one of the league's challenges, it would be not necessarily the worst way to spend your currency and time. I did manage to self-craft my rings and my amulets, and it really, realistically speaking, only cost me a couple of alterations. I already had the bases because I've been grinding like a maniac, and yeah, like I said, I think overall, all of the alterations in terms of crafting the rings and the amulets, it actually legitimately only cost me about 200 alteration orbs, which is a little bit luckier probably than the average player will get. And then I spent somewhere in the neighborhood of like 2 exalted orbs on the belt. And I also bought a Karui charge and a couple of other like mainstream meta items for the actual Uber Labyrinth speedrunner, because I do actually intend to convert this to a conventional Uber Lab speedrun build, just because I'm actually having a lot of fun with this. And I very much genuinely intend to give people like Wisp a run for their money in terms of cornering the Emperor's Gems market. I'm coming for that ass. I want those jewels. Those are gonna be mine. I'm better than you. We'll find out. Are you ready? Are you scared? You should be scared. What up? And I'm bringing a bunch of fucking newbies with me. It's gonna be tight. Or maybe like 2 newbies with me. It's gonna be tight. But, you know, so that was like a 4-minute and 35-second Uber Lab. It's not that great. It's not that bad. You know, but it's like I said, it's one of our endgame grinds. It's something to work on, and it's, realistically speaking, a really, really small investment to convert a character that you're probably already playing over to a character that's really, really well suited for a completely different type of content. So if you're feeling a little bit bored and you're looking for something a little bit different to tackle in Path of Exile, as opposed to playing a different game, I actually really encourage trying this. Like I said, it's the same thing. The only things that I have that you may not have that are giving me a little bit of an advantage is I have an unnatural instinct socketed into specifically this jewel. It does give us the benefit of 9% increased movement speed with these nodes here. And then I have a pure talent socketed in instead of like minus mana reserved jewel. And I'm not even fully leveled, so I still have a whole bunch of other jewels that I can socket into this build. And in terms of increasing the efficacy of this build, I have every intention of actually converting this character over to a completely conventional Uber Lab farmer. The only caveat being that I actually kind of intend to use split personality jewels with evasion to see how high I can actually stack my evasion and try and get that 75% cap on my Queen of the Forest, and then start considering what I'm going to do for my damage from there. So, I'm the Salt Princess. I've been running the Uber Lab. I don't even actually remember if I showed you the ladder, but I'll just say that I came in 4th place today so far. There's still like 19 hours in the day, so I'll probably get my ass kicked by tomorrow afternoon. But I've been having a great time, and I keep hitting the front page. I keep achieving the top 20 every time. And so what I'd really like to see is some other people kicking my ass I'd like to see, currently there's about 4 people that are actually trying. I'm the 5th. I'd like to see 15 to 20 people actually trying. And I'd like to see somebody beat Napalm. I would love to see somebody beat Napalm. So check it out. It's pretty cheap. It's fun. And if you enjoy it, there's a really cheap alternative to this character that can basically double your movement speed. And it'll be a harder fight with Azaro, but I think it'll be even more fun if you end up enjoying it. So thank you guys very much for watching. I'll see you again soon.